What's up everyone, hope y'all are doing well. Welcome to episode 8 of the Jimmy Restoration series. In today's video, we're going to focus on replacing the shock absorbers and the front wheel hub assemblies. While the Jimmy is in fantastic shape considering its age, this stuff has been long overdue for an upgrade, so we're going to put some really nice stuff in it, fix some issues in the process. Of course, we're going to double back and show you how all this stuff came apart. A huge thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts for their continued support in this series. We have a lot of stuff to cover today, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start spraying some penetrating oil on these various nuts and bolts just to help loosen everything up. Thankfully, the Jimmy is already in fantastic shape for its age, so hopefully it won't give us too much trouble. Nice. Now it's a matter of taking off the two caliper mounting bolts that secure it to the spindle, so we can get that out of the way, pull the rotor off, and then get to the hub. Alright. Strap this up with a bungee cord so we're not putting undue stress on the brake line. Just gotta find a good spot for it. Alright, that'll work. I want to pose a question to you guys. So the brakes on this are, in decent shape. The rotors aren't all that pretty, but there's good pad life and all of that. What do you guys think about doing some simple brake upgrades? I know there's some bolt-on replacement calipers that might have more surface area or are lighter weight, and we can change out the discs and maybe do a disc conversion in the rear. I don't know, it's kind of unnecessary, but it would improve stopping distances and stuff and probably make some cool content. So let me know what you guys think. So why exactly am I replacing the hubs? Well, kind of an intermittent problem at first when I bought this, but it's gotten worse over time. This hub in particular, I haven't really noticed it all that much with the other side, but when you're going down the road, you can hear when it goes faster and faster, the sound gets more intense. Then I can move it around and it just doesn't feel all that smooth. I can hear a little bit of a grittiness in there, so I don't know if just the bearing's gone bad or what, but you might as well replace it. There we go. That looks really nice. Doesn't look like there's much grease left in that thing, so out with the old, in with the new. We'll take this dust shield off. Sweet. One down, one to go. Just as I expected, the bushings in this thing are pretty trash, so I think it's safe to say we're going to just do a complete suspension rebuild at some point in time. It is very, very cruddy in here. As you can see with that grease fitting, just so much oil and gunk caked on everything. I want to repaint this stuff and make it all nice and pretty, but I think for the sake of this video, we're just going to clean everything up best we can, put in the new hardware, and then just start, you know, well, planning the suspension rebuild. Oh, this one came off a lot easier than the other one. Sweet. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and remove the rear shocks now. These are going to be a little bit simpler than the front because we don't have to take the brakes off. There's just a big nut down here, two smaller ones up there. I'm an idiot.
And why are you an idiot?
I accidentally tightened down the nut and broke the stud off of the shackle. So I'm robbing a shackle off of the crew cab frame because we've had so much rain lately. It's incredibly muddy back where the parts vehicles are, and I can't jack them up. So it's going to take a week to order one unless everything dries off to where I can get those. So yeah, we'll just do this for now. So this will work for now. I'm going to take the broken one, put it back on here because I can still get the shock on it so I can roll it around. I still don't know what I'm doing with this truck yet as far as the rear section of the frame and suspension and stuff, so that's fine. It's obviously not going to be driving anywhere. But I'm going to sand this down real quick and just get a quick coat of paint. I'll probably get all new hardware anyway when I do the suspension rebuild, so this will be perfectly fine for now. All right, take two. Try not to mess this one up. Look at that. See how easy things are when you do it the correct way the first time? All right, there we go. All right, guys, we're about ready to start putting some new stuff back in this thing. I went ahead and unboxed the new Bilstein shock absorbers I picked up for the Jimmy. Compared to the ones that came out of it, wow. That's a pretty big difference. Same thing with the hubs. We have these nice, fresh hub and bearing assemblies, so that should take care of that noise and weird behavior and stuff that I was talking about earlier. You'll notice that these rear shocks are actually air shocks. I don't know if this was a factory option. I actually just didn't realize this until now, but there is a little bicycle pump thing on the back bumper to where you can actually pump air into these and raise and lower it, I suppose, if you were towing or carrying a heavy load. I don't ever have any plans on towing anything with this truck, or SUV, whatever. If anything, it'll be like a tiny little trailer that you would put like hay bales in or something from the hardware store. So not a big deal. I am going to leave the air hoses in it, so if they ever wanted to be swapped out, if I sold it one day, someone still has the option to run air shocks if they want to. But I am really, really stoked to put these in here. Awesome. I still need to give this a quick cleanup just to get rid of some of the excess grease and put new anti-seize on and all of that. But like I said, I do have plans to remove all of this stuff. So, you know, unfortunately, we're going to have to take the shock out again. But it's better to be safe than sorry, doing some preventative maintenance just to, you know, I do drive this thing a lot, so we'll take care of it. But anyway, I have plans on taking all of this stuff out, cleaning everything thoroughly, replacing as much stuff as I can, so by the time it's all said and done, the suspension will basically be brand new. Before I put this hub assembly on, I'm putting a little bit of grease on the inside of here just to lube everything up, because the way this goes on, there's the splines, you fit it over, and then of course it bolts in 3 spots here, so this isn't going to move, but the part that moves, you have that little inside portion right there, so I just want to make sure, get a little bit of grease going on in here, if anything, just to prevent corrosion and make things a little bit easier when I have to take this stuff back off. Put a little anti-seize on these splines. Alright, just bolt everything back up. Yeah, I hate that I'm putting these old nasty brake rotors back on, but I want to do some brake content at some point, so we'll get them replaced one day. When I replace these rotors, I want to try to find some that have that black electrocoating on it, so you don't have to worry quite so much about all of this corrosion happening. Just keep them nicer looking for the long term. So a couple tips when installing shock absorbers. So a pry bar like that helps out a lot because these are a lot harder to compress than the ones I pulled out. So when it's just not lining up totally perfect, again, it's really hard to do this motion. So use a pry bar, bring it down just a little bit. Got that bolt in, no problem. The one at the very bottom here, the bracket here was actually just a little bit too narrow, so I took a punch and a hammer and just lightly massaged this bracket out. Put a little bit of gel lubricant in there, took a rubber hammer and just gently tapped it in. It's perfect. All right, let's just give this thing a wipe down. This side's all done now. Have everything torqued down to proper specifications. All the mating surfaces are cleaned up. Now, just gotta head to the other side. So a little trick I picked up when working on the 240SX, if you're torquing down a spindle or an axle nut and it just wants to spin, you can put a screwdriver inside the vanes of the brake rotor and it will hold up against here. That'll give you enough steadiness to where you can really get some good pressure on there and torque it down. Driver's side is now complete. It's amazing how quickly messes happen. Good night. Trying to find the right tools and figuring out where things are. I gotta come up with a better organization system. But anyway, all that's left to do now is replace or reinstall the rear shocks. Thankfully, the ones back here are exponentially easier. Just fit it back over the stud down here and reattach the bolts up top. Just gotta compress it, get it over the stud, and voila! There we go. Now, just gotta feed these 2 bolts in at the top. Oh, ow, hand cramp. Come back here. This is the hardest part. Come on, get over here. Anyway, this is the hardest part. Trying to get your hand up in there and get these nuts screwed on. And got it. As you can see, I already replaced this shackle. It was a direct swap from the crew cab, which was awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun hunting for parts and building the list of what we need to rebuild the suspension and stuff. It's going to be pretty awesome. Alright guys, we're done. It's just a matter of putting the wheels back on, get it on the ground, and then first thing tomorrow morning we'll come back and do an inaugural test drive and see how everything turned out. All right, guys, it is the next morning, which means it's time to take this thing for a test drive. This is just the beginning. I have a lot of suspension, steering, and brake content planned for this, and I appreciate the feedback that you guys send over with all the questions I've been posing, because it makes planning content a lot easier, and sometimes it gives me ideas that I didn't even think about in the first place, because by the time we're all said and done, I want this thing driving like new, or even better than new. These things are so easy to work on, and there's a lot of aftermarket support. You can just about do anything that you want to it. So I don't want to just replace what's broken. I want to restore this back or close to OE spec, but if I can improve things along the way to, better stopping distance or improve control or something like that, then that just makes this a lot more enjoyable to drive and brings it up, as close to modern standards as possible. As far as the suspension work, the shock absorbers were just one piece of the puzzle. This thing tended to have a noticeably bouncy ride over rougher surfaces, and even on the highway, it just didn't feel very planted. And the new shock absorbers, I think, offer a little bit better stability, which is nice, but the problems as a whole, it's just a culmination of all sorts of stuff, from the bad suspension bushings to bad body mount bushings. I mean, it's old. It's got 206,000 miles. What do you expect? But that's all stuff that we can improve upon or replace or whatever to just make this thing awesome. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. There's always a lot more where that came from. A huge thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts for their continued support in the series. And again, a big thanks to you guys for supporting the series. It really means a lot. Don't forget to leave a like below, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.